Hello and welcome to Building Community with NHMC. I am Felicia Mora, your host for today, and I also have the lovely, talented Annie Gonzalez joining me. She is an actor, singer, dancer, a multi-talented performer, and she's going to be interviewing with us today. Thank you for joining us, Annie.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I wanted to start by mentioning this lovely piece behind you.
Yes.
I know you got to take a look at it. It was our 2020 Impact Awards Gala Physical Award. You were there.
Yep.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
I do.
Okay. And I remember at the end of the night, you came up to the NHMC staff and you were like, oh my God, I love this piece. Can I have it? Do you have another? Do you have another one? And I was like, we can try. And then the pandemic happened, so that everything just went to hell after that. And I remember you were wearing this beautiful white sequins, like high slit.
I was wearing that sequins dress with the high slit and the low back. Yeah. Okay. Aggressive. It was aggressive, you guys.
Yeah, I didn't know if you remembered that, so I was like, all right, I'm going to remind her about the painting. Hopefully, I don't know. I know the artist, so maybe we can work something out. We'll figure it out.
No sweat. Okay. You know what I mean? Totally. I can admire it from here, and it's gorgeous.
Well, fast forward to a couple of weeks ago, I was walking to a local coffee shop in Uptown Whittier, and I saw you through the glass, and I think we both saw each other, and we were like looking at each other, those subtle looks that people like.
Yeah, you're like,
I know that.
Yeah.
Do I know her? Do I want to remember that I know her?
Haters.
No, I mean, you run into people and you're like, I don't remember if
Yep.
Yeah. We struck up a conversation and we started talking about like a million things, right? Identity, just being Latinas and all of these wonderful things and all the projects that you're doing. So I wanted to get to know Annie a little bit today. I wanted to ask you about growing up in LA. How was that for you? And then you also moved to Whittier at some point, and we're big Whittierites here. So I wanted to just let you talk about that experience and how did that kind of like shape your identity?
Yeah, born and raised in East LA. I come from, it's gonna sound funny, but I come from a long line of people who are from East LA. So my great-great-grandma, we were from Jerome, Arizona. You've heard the term, we didn't cross the border crossed us.
Absolutely. So
I'm sixth generation American, I guess, and Mexican. I identify as Chicana. I fucking identify as a human. Whatever, I don't give a shit. Just, be open to whatever I feel like identifying with at the moment. But so born and raised in East LA. My mom was born and raised in East LA. Her mom was born and raised in East LA. We moved to Whittier when I was about 15 because there was some gang shit happening across the street from my house. So my mom was like, as a single mom who's a teacher with, a young daughter, like, we gotta get your ass safe. So we bought a house in Whittier. I was already acting a lot then. I started acting at 9. So, and it's just been me and my mama. So I remember she was like, hey, we got a couple bucks saved. Some of it's your money, some of it's my money. Like, what do you think about, like, we put this for the down payment? And I was like, yeah, like, so excited. We get to do, I get to do it with my mama. And we moved to Whittier, and yeah, been here ever since.
And for those of you who don't know, Whittier is LA County, so it is still Los Angeles.
Yeah. I love Whittier. Whittier, where the girls are prettier.
Yes.
Clearly we're here, so.
It's literally on a shirt, so. You do identify as Chicana. That was one of my questions.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Latinos, Latinx, Chicana, Chicano, all of these varying identities, and I feel like we're all, I'm okay with it. Like, I identify as Latinx, Chicana, especially being like an Angelino, a Mexican American, right? But I feel like those things are just constantly gonna evolve over time.
Sometimes even like language around identifying, because we're always shifting and changing our minds and growing and getting new information. It's more the fluidity around it for me that I want people to like at least be open to. It's how I identify, so who gives a shit? Like, I think that's half of the issue a lot of the time. We want to, in order to be comfortable, we all have to agree on the same thing, the same politics, that's not, we are here in human form and we experience each other as such so that we can gain more understanding. If we were consciousness floating around, then yeah, we'd all agree. Because we're like, we don't have to explain it to each other. We're just fucking consciousness floating around. But here I get to see you and you look different and you have a different set of eyes and, your name is different from mine, but you're still a human. Who gives a shit? you have a nickname, you have a, you know, something that your mom calls you. You identify differently to different people at any given moment.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that.
Got it. But proudly brown, proudly Latina.
Yeah.
I love it. I think you mentioned that you didn't speak Spanish growing up. Yeah, neither do I. I don't. But you speak now. Yeah, you took it upon yourself to learn it, which I think learning any language is a big feat, especially as an adult.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how did that kind of play into the perception of you as you grow up and like balancing all of those things with identity?
Yeah, I mean, you know, growing up in East LA and then going to schools that either were predominantly white or Asian, there was a very big disconnect with my culture and my heritage. And I remember growing up, like, I didn't want to be Mexican.
Yeah.
I didn't like to, I was like, speaking like, just because of all the stigmas and things that were around it,
Yeah.
that I had seen other people speak of being in these like more white spaces. And it wasn't until I went to ELAC and took Chicano studies classes that I like gained some sense of pride for my culture and my heritage. And I was like, oh shit, wait, I love being Mexican. It's like tight as hell out here. Like I want this. And then I had to let go of all the shame around not speaking the language and understanding that, and then like if we go even deeper, like that's the language of like our colonizers, right?
Absolutely.
So like it's not even my language. So once
Absolutely.
I deconstructed that, I was like, yeah, I'll fucking learn this language. Why not?
Yeah, it's another colonizer's language. Like, I don't even know why they were discriminating against it to begin with, because it's like, stop.
I mean, it's like all they knew, right? Like as I've learned to let go of shame, I get to hold a little more empathy for them, right? For the people that are trying to condemn, and then also for myself, so that we can like learn, explore. And so then I started to be like, instead of fucking making me feel bad, like, enséñame, teach me, help me. And they'd be like, okay. I'm like, all right, cool.
Does your mom speak Spanish?
My mom speaks Spanish, but she didn't learn until she was 18 and she met my dad's family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So she also didn't grow up speaking Spanish like at all. And I learned from a lot of the cooks in the back of the house at restaurants that I worked at.
Of course.
And then I eventually ended up going online and taking some classes and like learning for myself, because I was like, it's such a beautiful language. Why not?
Yeah. And I think you'll find that pretty much all the cooks in LA, no matter the cuisine, are gonna be like Latinos.
Yeah, of some sort.
You're gonna be hearing them speaking Spanish in the back, and I love that. I think that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you've been in the entertainment industry for a while now, and I know we also talked about having like imposter syndrome, and we're touching on that here and there. You've been acting since you were a child, so there's been a lot of spaces where you've been, you know, I'm assuming, feel out of place, and then you went to some place like Gentefied, where you had Latinos in front of and behind the camera. That was such a different experience for you. And, you know, you have both experiences, right? You've worked with other individuals in the past, but then you've worked with a whole Latinx set, and now you have to go into this space having experienced both. Do you have like something that you say to yourself? Do you have something that kind of like keeps your head up? Do you have like, you know?
I just constantly remind myself that I always belong. Like my job has never been to fit in. I realize I was put on this playing field at this given moment to stand out, or else I wouldn't be able to occupy the spaces that I'm in. I feel like a lot of the time it can definitely be easy to look at things in a lack mindset, like what's missing. And I'm like, well, what can I add to it then if there's shit missing? I'm gonna just keep adding.
Yeah.
Imposter syndrome doesn't stop. I mean, it didn't even stop when I was on the set of Gentefied. And that, you know, that felt like my family. But every day I'd go home and I'd be crying like, why am I here? Why me? Why do I deserve this? And it's, you know, because we're so used to not getting what we want that when we do, we question everything as well there. So I've been in a business of, if it's flowing, let it flow. Trust that you deserve good things because you are a good person who is actively working on being better. That's why I try and keep that at the forefront. Like just always trying to be the best version of myself, showing up in my authenticity, whatever that looks like for the day, whether that's me being Chicana, whether that's me being human, whether that's me being a singer, whether that's me just being an actress, whether that's me being a tia, a dog sitter, all the things, you know, as authentically as I can, and trust that that's enough. I don't need to do anything more, anything less.
I love that. That's so good. I'm going to take that.
Take that. It's not mine. It's yours. Heck yeah, it's ours.
Yes. Absolutely.
It's yours too, whoever's watching this.
Well, I did want to briefly speak on the importance of representation in terms of the character Lydia that you played on Gentefied. I watched both seasons. I absolutely loved it. Lydia, for me, was, well, me. So I saw myself so much. We got a multidimensional Latina who is trying to navigate life and being a young mom and pursuing a career while also trying to like balance this relationship. And she's gonna do it like with or without her partner. She's navigating a new job. I'm going through both seasons for you guys, by the way. So, and for me, I'm a single mom to a young boy. And I'm also like trying to climb like this career ladder and navigate the politics of entertainment and nonprofits, and also like trying to be better for the world in that process, right? I created a person and I want that person to contribute and make the world a better place. And something I thought of when I was watching it and I was thinking about what I was going to talk to you about today was this mentality of leaving something better than you found it. So one of my favorite quotes is, we did not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we're borrowing it from our children. And I feel like Lydia embodies that. She came back to her community. She's trying to make it a better place. She's trying to do better things for her family. So what was Lydia representative to you? What did you take from the character?
A lot of healing. She was my mom. So I was raised by a single mom. She went to school, became a teacher. My dad, there was a lot there. And I remember going into this role, I was at a crossroads in life. You know, we all go through that phase in your 20s where you're like, fuck my mom, fuck my dad, like I hate them all. Sorry, you guys are probably gonna have to bleep all this out. I curse like a sailor. In playing anything, you have to have empathy and to be able to make it multidimensional. Otherwise, it's gonna be a single note type of character. And I found a lot of healing for my family lineage through this, because before she was my mom, she was a woman, and before she was a woman, she was a child who also didn't get her needs met. I was able to pull from all that and hopefully do Lydia justice so people could see themselves in it, so my mom could see herself in it and see that she is perfect even while in process. I think a lot of the time as we're trying to help community and all of the earth, help people, we think, I need to teach, I need to do this, a quote that I read a while ago that just has stuck with me. I didn't come here to teach, I came here to love, and love will be that teacher. I think often we tend to miss the idea of what just holding space can do, what a listening ear can do, you know? And I think that's how Lydia has moved through the world. And what she speaks and when she does, she speaks volumes. Everything she said, I feel like in the first and the second season there's a levity to it that you realize, like, oh, she comes from power and vulnerability all at the same time. And that's what it taught me in my life. Like, and also taught me to, like, damn girl, it's okay to ask for help. You know, so that's something that she wasn't able to do. I'm like, I want that. I want all the things. I want to be strong, powerful, and be able to do it myself, and also know that I don't have to, and we don't have to. And I think that's so heavily embedded in our culture as you know, brown women. Like, nope, don't let them see you crack. Like, everyone else can crack and they can dump on you because that's our job, right? But when it's our turn, it's like maybe I'm not used to my feelings not inciting violence. So how do I maneuver through that? Do it anyway.
Yeah.
And then you'll find a safe space. That's what Lydia taught me. I think our friend wants to get down here.
Oh.
Victor, would you like to go down? See, he asked for help.
He took your advice.
And look at that. And I helped.
And what did your mom think of the character, especially since you feel like it was her?
She totally saw it.
Aww.
It tripped her out. She's like, Dad, she's like, I'm watching it like I saw. I was like, that's me. And I'm like, yeah, a lot of it was you. A lot of my inspiration was you. And she's like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah. I tell her all the time, like, I wouldn't be here without you. I wouldn't even be able to occupy these spaces without her. My mom never, ever, ever instilled in me, it's harder because we're brown, ever. So growing up in this industry, I didn't think like, I was like, I'm Bette Midler, I'm Barbara Streisand, and I understand that that's a privilege of mine, that I didn't have any of that. Like no language around like me being Latina or me being like a brown woman was ever in the conversation as a divisive tactic or even as a protective tactic, right? None of that. It wasn't until I got older that I was like, wait, what? And it was kind of like, a reality check in that way of like, oh, this is how society sees me, but I don't see me like this. Well, I'm going to keep going with whatever my perception of me is then, because fuck that, that's not real.
Yeah. So your mom is very strong.
My mom is a powerhouse. My mom is tough as nails, and because of and in spite of her upbringing, and a lot of it is survival, So sometimes it works in her favor, and sometimes it can be tough to always feel like you have to be the strong end. And now we're breaking these generational curses together, me, her, and my grandma. We have very transformative conversations about vulnerability and language and empathy and maybe not saying everything you think just because it's true. Because it's true to you doesn't mean it's the universal truth. So we're learning all of these things, and it's really cool that like that we all get to be a part of it and share and make mistakes together.
I love that you guys are able to talk about that and process it, because I feel like that's like on a social level, that's kind of the conversations that we're having, is that we need to like reflect and like go to therapy and like talk to your ancestors, your moms, your grandparents, all these people, and like process their traumas or help them in a way if you can.
Yeah.
And then also process your own. So.
And I think that's how it starts. You process your own first. I had to go through my whole stage of, I hate you, Mom. And I did. And like we had a pretty heavy like 5-6 years once I started therapy, where I was like, I don't want to be around you. And she was like, do you not like me? And I had to, I was like, I don't think I do. But ultimately I also realized, oh, I don't like myself. So how am I going to like anyone? Went through therapy, let myself have the full anger, right? And then once I was able to hold space for myself, it became so much easier to hold space for everyone I love. So now, even if my mom does something that I'm like, oh, we had an incident recently where she was frustrated and she started speaking out of frustration, saying things that maybe weren't like the nicest or kind of like being snappy. And I, doing all the self-help work that I have done, I'm like, what's the point of doing the work if I'm not going to put into practice, right? Because I feel like a lot of the time it's like, well, I was triggered. Like, yeah, that's why the fuck you have these tools. If we're always saying like, well, you triggered me, it's like, it's not everybody's job around us to take care of us. It is our job to take care of us. Now, if we have these triggers, use your toolbox. So I used my toolbox, and I was like, and with setting boundaries, I was like, hey, we gotta ease up, but I'm here for you. How can I help? Moved it through, and the next day she's like, hey, I realized I was probably being a little snippy, and I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Like, I just was so frustrated. I was like, I figured, Mama, but thank you. The acknowledgement is really nice.
Yes.
Moving forward.
That's a lot of progress.
It's a lot of progress, and it's a lot of work, and I think it's so possible for all of us to be able to do it.
Yeah.
If like I can do it, I'm no better, no special than anyone else.
I don't think I've ever heard the words "I'm sorry" come out of my dad's mouth. And I feel like that's a very like embedded in like a machismo culture, right? They just never gonna acknowledge it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna apologize. We're gonna move forward, and you just gotta get over it.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
We can change that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I know
absolutely.
It takes time and the utmost patience, but it's possible. And then it just changes you as a person. And then if you change, the world around you changes, because whatever you are, you're attracting.
Yeah.
How cool is that? Even when you attract a monster, you're like, dang, I got some monsters. That's cool. I haven't figured that one out yet, but
I'm going to work on it. Yeah. At least I'm aware. Like, recognition is the first step, right?
It really is, and the most important. And even that should be celebrated.
Yeah, definitely. Growth.
Yeah.
Growth. And I think especially for women, like, your mom was a single mom. So it's like you have to constantly just be on. You have to be protective. You have to do all the work. You have to do everything and you have to take care of everybody else's needs
while still being
for
sweet
your
and
own.
soft. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
It's hard. It's so exhausting.
That's why I say I don't do the respectability politics anymore. Especially as now being someone who's in front of the camera and having like, you know, this, like if you're not like, and you're a face of the community and you're like, none, like I'm like, no, I'm not. I am not the face.
Responsibility.
Well, because it's not mine. I'm not the face of anything. I'm the face of Annie Gonzalez. And even then sometimes that shape shifts depending on my fucking mood, right? So with that being said, I'm like, I'm so grateful to and honored if someone sees themselves in me. But I hope first and foremost they see a human who's like beautifully flawed, so flawed and human first and foremost. And sometimes I'll be having bad days, and that's okay too.
Constantly trying, learning, right?
Yeah, I keep trying to like let go of the social construct of things, just so that I can exist and stop living with shame. Sometimes, you know, it's too difficult to always show up clean and pristine. I'll be honest, like I'm having a shitty day today, but I'll be all right.
Yeah.
What's up? I'm here for work though. Let's do it. You know?
Yeah, I think that's something I try to work on with my child all the time, is allowing him to be himself, and I wasn't able to do that. Like, you know, especially like we were talking about earlier in public spaces.
Yeah.
Right? You have to like, you need to dress a certain way, you need to look a certain way, you need to act a certain way, and you're going to be that, and that's it. That's the way that we're going to do it. You can do whatever you want when you get home, but don't do it here. But then you're not allowing us to be our true selves.
So then how do you even know what that is as you grow older?
Right. I know the boxes I have to check, right? I've got to like sit this way. I've got to dress this way. I've got to say yes, ma'am, no, sir, whatever the context of the conversation is. And then where am I and all of that? Yeah. So.
And we love you. We want to see you. For real.
Yeah.
That's all anybody wants. I think that's why people are like, if they do identify with me, it's like, because I learned a long time ago, like, I can't be anything other than me. I'd be exhausted all the time. And that's all I want from people across from me, too. Just, like, be your most authentic self. When someone comes out, they're like, well, how should I dress? I'm like, how do you feel the most fly? Do that. And I think I went through all that when I had, like, shaved my head and all this stuff. Like, you know, so, yeah, let's just always try and show up as our authentic selves. And even if you don't know what that is yet, take time to figure it out. Make mistakes. Be wrong. If you're wrong so many times, it's only going to help you be more right.
Anything that ties back into, like, the generational trauma, too, because when our parents and our grandparents see us doing that and being comfortable in our skin and, like, growing and loving ourselves and loving our friends and our cousins and our family that's there, I think that just shapes so much of like, oh my God, you didn't have to do that. You're going to be okay. That means I can be okay if I open up a little bit.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's kind of the process I'm going through with my parents and my family. But
that's powerful. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's a long time coming. A lot of unlearning too.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it can be fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think we're definitely in a better space now as than we were like 5 years ago, but all good. A lot of religious trauma tied to that, but that's another conversation.
Yeah. I totally get that.
Yeah. Did you grow up in a religious household?
No, not religious, spiritual.
Okay.
My mom, my mom was always, we would go to church and she like gave me a lot of autonomy. If I was like, can I go to my friend's church? It's Christian, it's Pentecostal, it's Episcopalian. Like, she'd be like, go for it, girl, live your life. Grew up with a lot of like concepts around like The Secret, Don Miguel Ruiz, The Four Agreements, like things like that. I was raised Mormon, and then I myself converted to Catholicism at like 11, 12 when me and my mom left the Mormon church. And now I have my own understanding of like the universe, source, God, love, connectivity.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you have something and it makes you happy. That's
it really does.
Yeah, good. I'm glad. Well, I did want to talk about your projects coming up. You have so many that I saw, and I hope I have this right. Once Upon a Time in Aslan, Bugtown, and then Flamin' Hot.
Yeah.
So 2 shows and a film, right? Oh my God, how does that feel?
Man, I'm so grateful. I've never wanted to do anything else in my life.
Oh.
Like, I was that little 4-year-old watching Gene Kelly and Fred Astaire, thinking like, that's gonna be me one day. I'm just really grateful. I love what I do. And hopefully there's more to come.
Yeah. Oh, there will be. There so will be. And is there anything that you can tell us about what's going on with any of those things?
Honestly, I probably have as much knowledge as you do. They always keep us out the loop. I know I just got a message from Devon Franklin saying that he saw a cut of Flamin' Hot and that it looks amazing.
Yeah.
But Fox Searchlight doesn't put a release date on their projects because they like to have an organic process, which we love. So we're patiently waiting until it comes out. But I know it's going to be a movie that so many people are going to identify with and enjoy. It's so good. The script is so good. Like, the actors are so good. Eva Longoria as a director was, wow, incomparable. Like, I'm just overwhelmingly grateful for the life that I get to live.
That's awesome. And where were you guys filming in? Texas?
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
New Mexico. Yeah, I remember. Because Eva keeps us posted on some things sometimes.
Yeah.
So I remember she's like, I'm filming in New Mexico. I can't right now. So we were really excited for her to take on this project. It's her first directing project,
film,
right?
I believe. Film directorial
Yeah.
debut. She's done a lot of like television, but this is her first film and she's slayed. Or feature. I think she did a documentary for Oscar de la Hoya recently, but this is her first like feature film. She's brilliant. She's powerhouse like this. So gracious, so kind to everyone. Like, even in the midst of like chaos, she still kept her cool. She's like, all right, well, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna get it done. Like, just made it such a smooth process.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited for all of those things. Is there anything you can tell us about the other two projects? I know you're doing Jane Lynch and Nicole Richie.
That one was a pilot, and I don't know what's going on with it right now. So like I said, we're waiting to hear. But I got to work on Once Upon a Time in Aslan with Jesse again, who was my husband in Flamin' Hot.
Yeah.
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
This world, this industry also too is just so small.
Have you guys worked together before?
No.
No. Okay. So just two projects.
These
back
two
to back. Here we
projects,
go.
yeah. But like, what? 2 projects back to back? One we're playing husband and wife, and the other we're playing brother and sister, which for our dynamic works way better, honestly. That mother. We love Jesse. He's great. Such a brilliant actor. So generous too.
And where can we find that one at?
I will let you know.
We appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. And where can everybody find you on socials?
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter. I believe they're the same. Annie G. Gonzalez.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us, Annie. Go follow her on everything she's doing. Once Upon a Time in Aslan, Flamin' Hot, Bucktown, and of course, all the future projects. This is only the beginning, so congratulations to you and everything that you're doing. Like and subscribe below. You can follow NHMC on all of our socials and see how we continue to build community. Thank you, everybody, and thank you for joining us, Amy.